Time to learn about non-qualified plans and how they can make you rich, Mr. or Mrs. Entrepreneur. Hey there, my name is Ken French. I'm with vastsolutionsgroup.com, where we do tax finance and artificial intelligence to lower tax liability for entrepreneurs. A lot of people don't know about non-qualified plans. Everyone knows about qualified plans like 401k plans, profit sharing plans, and the like, but these non-qualified plans are really powerful items, really, that help a lot of the wealthy people getting to become that much wealthier. Now, let's get into the specifics so you learn a little bit about non-qualified plans, how to use them to your advantage so you can retire in the manner that you truly want. A non-qualified deferred compensation plan, sometimes they're called NQDCs, it's an elective or non-elective plan arrangement or method or between an employer and an employee to pay the employee or independent contractor, by the way, compensation in the future. So you're putting away money now, but really the compensation is paid later, usually in another year. In comparison with qualified plans, i.e. 401k plans, these plans, non-qualified plans, do not provide employers and employees with tax benefits associated with, let's say, 401ks, because these non-qualified plans do not satisfy all the requirements of what's called the 401a. Now, under a non-qualified plan, employers generally only deduct expenses when income is recognized by the employee or the service provider. Now, in contrast, under a 401k, employers are entitled to deduct expenses in the year the contributions are made, even though the employees will not recognize income until the latter years upon receipt of the distribution. Now, let's talk about this. Despite their many names, NQDCs, or non-qualified deferred compensation plans, typically they fall into four separate categories. Now, what are those? Salary reduction arrangements. Now, those are simply defer the receipt of otherwise currently includable compensation by allowing the participant to defer receipt of a portion of his or her salary. That's a salary reduction arrangement. A bonus deferral plan, what that is that resembles basically a salary reduction arrangement, except they enable participants to defer receipt of bonuses until down the road, usually another year. These things called top hat plans. They're sometimes called supplemental executive retirement plans, or SERPs. They're non-qualified plans maintained primarily for a select group of management or highly compensated employees, usually really management, usually senior officers. Also, the fourth type of plan that usually, remember I said these NQDCs usually fall into four categories, and this fourth category, excess benefit plans. Now, those are NQDCs that are to provide benefits solely to employees whose benefits under the employee's qualified plans are limited by IRS Test 415s. Now, despite their name, phantom stock plans are NQDC arrangements, but they're not stock arrangements. Now, let's talk about the different types of non-qualified plans, specifically unfunded or funded plans. Now, they can either be, as I mentioned, funded or funded. Now, or I should say funded or non-funded, though most are intended to be unfunded because of the tax advantages unfunded plans afford the participants. An unfunded arrangement is one where the employee has only the employer's mere promise to pay the deferred compensation benefits in the future, usually another year, and the promise is not secured in any way. There cannot be any securitization on that. The employer may simply keep track of the benefit in a bookkeeping account, or it may voluntarily choose to invest in, let's say, annuities, securities, or insurance arrangements to help fulfill its promise to pay the employee down the road. Similarly, the employer may transfer amounts to a trust that remains part of the employer's general assets, subject to the claims of the employer's creditors if the employer becomes insolvent, in order to help keep its promise to the employee. To obtain the benefit of income tax deferral, it's important that the amounts are not set aside from the employer's creditors for the exclusive benefit of the employee. If amounts are set aside from the employer's creditors for the exclusive benefit of the employee may have currently includable compensation. That's an important distinction. Now, let's go down the road of a funded arrangement. That generally exists if assets are set aside from the claims of the employer's creditors, for example, in a trust or an escrow account. A qualified retirement plan is the classic funded plan, right? A plan will generally be considered funded if the assets are segregated or set aside so they're identified as a source to which participants can look at the payment of their benefits. They know what their benefits are, they're set aside. For NQDC purposes, again, non-qualified deferred compensation purposes, it is not relevant whether the assets have been identified as belonging to the employee or not, meaning they can be into a separate account or not. It doesn't matter. It's just a promise to pay. What is relevant is whether the employee has a beneficial interest in those assets, such as having the amount shielded from the employer's creditors, or the employee has the ability to use these amounts as collateral. If the arrangement is funded, the benefit is likely taxable. You got to be very careful of that. Now, non-qualified deferred compensation plans may be formal or informal, but they have to be in writing. There has to be something in writing. There can't be a verbalization agreement. While many plans, it even depends on the state, by the way. While many plans are set forth in really extensive detail, some are referenced by nothing more than a few provisions contained in an employment contract. You don't have to have a big formal agreement. You can even have an employment contract with the employer and the employee stating that a non-qualified plan is in place. In either event, the form, in terms of plain language, of a non-qualified deferred compensation arrangement is just as important as the way the plan is carried out. It's got to be an ongoing process. Review the quote plan documents to identify provisions that fail to comply with the requirements of IRC 409A or document compliance. It's really important. The NQDC plan must also comply with the operational requirements applicable under the IRC 409s. Now, that is, while the parties may have a valid non-qualified plan arrangement on paper, they may not operate the plan according to provisions. That's really important. Depending upon the circumstances, they are quite valuable as a planning tool for employees, employers, and in fact, even the general public as a means to helping small businesses thrive in an otherwise difficult environment. Now, what I would say is these don't work for everyone. There's just no way. Sometimes maybe they're too complex, too simple. Believe it or not, that might be the case. It really depends. But what I would say is go to your advisor, go to your financial advisor, maybe your CPA, maybe your, maybe even a tax attorney, maybe even an ERISA attorney or a non-qualified attorney who specializes in just non-qualified plans, because these are pretty rare. But they could be really beneficial depending on the circumstances. Now, if you have any questions, you can call us at 888-808-8278. Or, of course, you can go to our website. What's that? vastsolutionsgroup.com. Again, vastsolutionsgroup.com. And we'll be more than willing to help you if you call in or email us. You can email us at admin@vastsolutionsgroup.com. We have so many resources out on our website at vastsolutionsgroup.com. I bet you can be helped there. Now, once again, Kenner French signing off. Thank you so much for listening.